JD, I am not well. These 24 hours, we came to talk about the women's Olympic tournament. And within that time, just within the women, we have drones, we have controversy, we have injuries. We haven't even talked about the men. I saw the longest VAR game happen today, where a game ended, was suspended, ended, and was suspended. It's I don't who I blame Cat Williams. 2024 was not the year for more. Everything was not supposed to go this way. I am emotional. This year is breaking me. I am not ready. But as the title says, guys, we are here to talk about the women's Olympic football tournament. Um, Talking about can an African team medal, preview some of the sides, and kind of go from there. We will cover a bit of what happened with Canada, or is still happening with Canada as we speak. But JD, welcome to the program. How are you doing today?
I got to roll with you. It has been a very much hectic year as it relates to football and drama as well. You know, Cat Williams, he should be blamed for everything. So just blame Cat Williams. Yes, 100%. Yes, but definitely today was a very much historic day because I was reading on the Canadian one and I can't really understand because if they had said that they snuck up a drone on Brazil, I would have believed it a little bit more. But New Zealand, you know, I'm not disrespecting New Zealand, but I don't think I need a drone for New Zealand. I just need them to turn up on the field and then I smoke them. But maybe I'm just being too egotistic. But yeah, that's all I
It,
have to say.
JD, it's funny because when you actually see the connections between New Zealand and Canada, you almost question it even more, right? So because John Herdman was coaching the women's New Zealand team, had Bev Priestman on that staff.
Mm-hmm.
So they're from New Zealand. Bev Priestman has married someone from New Zealand, one of the New Zealand members. So they're here coaching U17 for Canada. The coach that was sent home, Jasmine Mander, her brother is a physiotherapist for New Zealand.
Yeah.
Um, John Herdman's son, who is coaching Canada, plays for New Zealand. I feel like if we were trying to get footage from them, we could have just texted, right? We didn't need a drone. This feels like that group who creates an elaborate plan to break into the house,
Yeah.
and then the door was unlocked the whole time. You didn't have to go through all this process to it, and I'm trying to find the humor in it because it is terrible. Like let's not
And
go it
you could say that it's going to offset the team and also
mhm,
the image of the team itself, which that is
agreed.
very bad because if you're coming off being a champion, regardless of how you got it done, you want to give yourself back a clean slate to go there and try and fight. And I want to say that I liked what the Canadian team doing from the other day, so I expected a little bit more from them, but no, that's going to be, oh, wonder if they cheated. You know, I don't really like that, man. This is like
Mhm.
damaging the brand of the other team. Come on, man. Play some
It
football.
No, it does, and especially when we look at how the Canadian Federation has been looked at over the last since the Men's World Cup, really, and even before that, there was the scandal at the Vancouver school that happened, and the Vancouver Whitecaps. Then you have the men make the World Cup, and then the canceled friendlies, and then you have the labor dispute with the women. You have the leaders stepping up. It felt as if we finally had a stretch of period where there was peace in the land. We were back at looking at the pitch, and now there is another controversy. It's like we can't have nice things, JD. We finally get a moment, or as Josh said, it feels very one step forward, two steps back. And I feel for the players because the players are the ones who have to feel the wrath for this. Whether this was the entire staff or just one rogue staff member, I'm sure that quote's coming out at some point. It was one rogue member that no one knew anything about. But I feel for the players because now again, instead of them being asked about, hey, you're going to defend your goal, now they're being asked about, okay, so like this other coach, like what's the relationship like? Has he been important? Has he not been? They don't get to do the
For the
thing that they
yeah,
came to do, and
yeah,
now they're stuck
agreed, agreed.
talking about. And it. I feel for the players on that aspect.
Agreed, 100%. But I'm just hoping that their actual game on the field can really translate in a way that it can offset the situation,
Mhm.
take the limelight off it, because I truly believe that they are a better team than what people giving them credit for. I saw Nigeria pretty much run the rings around. New Zealand. New Zealand went to the World Cup and they weren't as impressive either. So they are still on that cusp of saying a top 50 team, but they ain't in the bracket of the top 20 going down. So, and Canada is naturally always a top 15 team. You understand me? So
Yeah.
I think it's necessary. I just believe that they are kind of blowing it out, and I do believe that both rankings actually translate on the field as well. So I don't Canada need to spy on them to beat them. I'm very sorry, New Zealand. I like what you guys are doing, but no. Let we just let this slide. As what African said, they have a good relationship with you guys, so just let it slide and play the game, and hopefully you try and compete on the field.
Yeah, no doubt. As of the latest, and we will go and preview the rest of the teams, guys, on where there won't be any more. We won't try to have all the drone and coach and flight talks today. We'll talk about the pitch. But as of late, I think New Zealand's federation had asked for no points to be awarded after the game for Canada. We'll see if that goes. In their defense, we'll see what happens with that. As of it is, so Canada, Bev Priestman won't be on the pitch for the game tomorrow. The two coaches who are within the technical aspect of video have been sent home, which is interesting. Also, so they are down 3 members. They'll be down those 2 members plus the coach for this first game. Also, for fun facts, how interconnected this is. If, say, we went to the worst case scenario and they had to reset the staff, well, Mander is also the U15 girls coach. If you got rid of Bev Priestman's wife, Emma Humphreys, is also the U17 coach. So you could effectively, if you got rid of the rest of the staff, you could effectively be left with nothing but a U20 coach on the women's side. If things progress to that level, again, we're
And
gonna wait and see
even
how it
with a
goes.
U20 coach, Canada still beat them handsomely as well too. So yes, let them continue. Let them continue. Oh my
Yes.
God, that's nasty, man.
Well, I'm sure as this video goes on, there'll be more details and people will put them in the comments afterwards or in the chat. So we will look at that as it is. But the conversation we wanted to have here, even though we've just spent the first almost 10 minutes on drones and competition integrity, is this women's tournament, which I think is interesting, JD, because we do have 12 teams and maybe say for 1 or 2. I think there's an argument for 10 of these teams at the very least to make the quarterfinal rounds. I think a lot of these teams, maybe some of them would need more for it to happen, but I think you have this women's tournament set up where there may be one clear favorite where people say, "Hey, it's probably Spain's tournament to
Yeah,
win,"
exactly. Yeah, I would
but
say that.
other teams, you could say, hey, style of play and how they are. It's going to be a very interesting clash of styles. And we saw that at the 2023 World Cup, where we saw clashes of styles work out for other teams, right? The famous one, I think, is when Spain played Japan, right? And Japan beat Spain, basically being super efficient on the counter. And they were putting away goals as if they only had one shot and they put them away. And that game got out of whack. But then if you looked at the metrics of the game, you'd see that okay, Spain actually had the bulk of possession. It was just that Japan was much more effective and efficient in their counters. And you see these different styles. You see teams that are better at countering, say like the Zambias of the world. You have teams that are well versed defensively, but also have offensive talent. I see you in Nigeria. You see a team in a bit of a transition with the US. You see France, who have the players. There's enough talent here that I think 10 of these teams can easily make a shout and say they can make the quarterfinals. How are you feeling with this tournament about to get set tomorrow?
I would not say all 10 still.
Okay.
I think I would have to go a little bit down. You said the quarterfinals, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But I'm saying realistically, winning it, I think I would say a solid 4. As what you said, a good point. When we saw Japan played Spain, and you realize that you have to be everything on God Green's earth has to go your way. You score every chance, because after that you're not going to touch a football and you're going to face 50,000 shots, and your keeper has to be 100%. But Japan proved that they could pull that off, so let me give them credit for that. All right. So, but aside from that, I would just say I would say 4 team realistically, I think can truly win this one. But everyone else can compete to a certain point. That's what I would say still. It looks like we have some problems, some technical issues with Mr. Africans. Please do smash the like button, share, and subscribe. We saw Chorus in the house, massive respect. We saw Paul Anderson, big up yourself, thanks for being here. Sebastian, my massive respect. And yeah, but yeah, we are talking about the teams. You have Nigeria should be playing Brazil tomorrow. I would say I do think that you have talent. Kevin Jones, bless up, thanks for being here. Guys, please do share the content so we can keep on growing it. I think we're just like 100 and something left on subscription. So for us to reach the 1,000 mark from East Africans. Yeah, man. So keep on sharing the content and let we have some good time, because what this does, it helps to push the conversation further. As you know, majority of the times I've covered Jamaican content. Yeah. But sometimes you need more diversity to the game, because what these content does is to bring back more reality to the conversation. Because if you do kind of box yourself in and say one team is great without seeing anybody else, you tend to not learn much about it. So this is served to really break down majority of the teams in the actual tournament. And I want to say that you have some, but I still, because I saw Brazil is good, but I just don't believe that from the other day they are translating to beating a Spain, beating Japan. I just believe that they're going to drop short in those games. Saw them against Jamaica, but beating Jamaica, be honest, Jamaica is a more defensively sound team. We never really translated to the forward line. Worst if we don't have Khadija Shah. That's a significantly weaker team. All right. We just discussed that for 10 minutes, so we can't be discussing it after again. Yeah, but we just pull the video up and you will get it. Danica, thanks for being here. Danica, thanks Sian Bowen for being here. Massive respect. Smash a like, want to share and subscribe. I'm trying to go through all the teams that I could actually say have the realistic chance to win it. All right. First, got to be Spain. Spain, I do believe that the football that they're playing, both ladies and men, it's just like a football. They have added something different to both of the teams, and I think it's drawing a lot more success than what first expected. All right. Yeah, so Afghan said who we think would have made the quarterfinals and stuff. Let me go through the teams that I actually think will be making it out of their group. All right, so as you know, top 2 goes on to the knockout stage, and third place possible to the knockout stage, because they have to make it up. So it's going to be the best third place team actually go through. So the first one, you have France. That's Group A: France, Colombia, Canada, New Zealand. Danica asked about it, stated that why they're spying on New Zealand. I don't necessarily think they need to spy on New Zealand. I think they are good enough to get the job done. All right. So this group, Colombia, we saw that Colombia, they have a style with their style. The physicality in their style is very hard to deal with. So they could pose some problems. But I fully expect New Zealand, even with them getting spied on, I fully expect that all of the other teams have to beat New Zealand in this one. I think New Zealand will be coming at the bottom of the group, and they are trying to drum up some excitement because they are at the bottom of the group. France team can blow hot and cold. So really and truly, if it's true that their coaches got sent to them, that would be very bad, because I thought that Canada had the squad to fight France to win the entire tournament. Yeah, win the entire group to qualify. All right, in first position, because France can be caught out from time to time, and the style that the three at the back that Canada using at this point really can help can help the situation, because I like the football that they're playing. I saw them countless time against the United States, and I do believe that one of the times it was solely based on the condition that stopped them from winning that game, and they were slightly even better in patches than the United States. So I do think it's going to carry over here, and it only offsets because of the problem, as what you just said. Because of that problem, that was the whole situation. All right, but I'm expecting France and Canada to still qualify regardless of the situation. All right, that's from League A, Group A. France and Canada, I still expect that. Colombia, know that it can cause some problems, but the extra talent coming from France and Canada, I don't think New Zealand or Colombia got it. Colombia is better than New Zealand, and their style is better. Everything is better. They are more talented, but I don't believe that they have enough talent for to match with Canada and France. They have less talents, but their system can kind of supplement for where their talent drop shorts.
No, and I think that's a fair point. And sorry about dropping off there, everyone. And it happens to everyone. But I think the question with the Colombia, for me at least, is where do you rate? They do definitely have players who can certainly change the game in a moment. And I think the Canada got a slight taste of that when they played Mexico in their two send-off games earlier in the year. And I think that is going to be the interesting question for me. If Colombia is as good as we think, I think Linda Caicedo is as good as we believe her to be. And can Canada handle that type of a passing game? If they can do that, I think it definitely opens a door for them and they can get through. I think they can match up well enough against a France. But the New Zealand game we've been taking for granted, and with everything that's happening with the game, I have no idea what could happen. Canada could win that game 5-0, but then we can find out through the sanctions they get nothing for it. So the game's going to be played. We'll see what happens. But I think of the games, Colombia to me is the test, because if they can come away with 3 against Colombia, which isn't an easy task, I think the door opens for them a little bit clearer for their pathway to at least the quarterfinals. And then from there, you're one game away for having a chance to play for something. But for Group A, I still think France being the hosts, they top the group there. I'm hesitant. I think last time we did this video, we were talking about whether or not Colombia can get past Canada. I think Canada from top to bottom has more talented players, but I think Colombia has the best player on the pitch who can change the match in a moment. And I think that's going to be the key thing. I think if Caicedo,
Okay.
I think Caicedo can change a game in a minute.
No, I agree with you there, but the best player on the pitch, I still believe that sometimes you criminally underrate your team, man. Caicedo is talented and one for the future, but you have players on the Canada team that Caicedo ain't better than at all. I'm very sorry, Africans, because they're in their prime. They're in their prime a little bit more, That's what I would say.
I think that's fair. Maybe because I've grown up with it, I see something new and flashy come, and I say, I don't know, can we handle it? But I have my reliable Toyota Corolla who can get me to a semifinals at the Olympics all the time. So I think for them, Colombia will be interesting for me. I think they can push for that third place. New Zealand which again adds to the whole conversation as to if you were really droning and trying to record why New Zealand, because I think of the 12 teams, New Zealand is one of the teams I think of the 12 that are there had a lesser chance of making it to the quarterfinals. So there's questions aboard for that, but I think we'll go there, and I'll go with that. So I'll go Canada, I'll go France, I'll go France, Canada, Colombia, and then New Zealand in 4th place.
Okay.
Yes,
I agree. And maybe Colombia will still amass enough points to go make it to the next round. So I
think so as well. I think so as well. That's a very fair point. I see things, and when we I'll go through some comments, and then we'll get to the conversation about Group B, which is one of our other topics we want to talk about. Can an African team actually medal at this competition? But let's go through some of the comments here. Chris Corneef, good to see you as well. Always happy to see you, Paul Anderson. Yes, we've been talking for the last 2 days, Paul. There's nothing but things to talk about. I respect it. Glad to have you here. Sebastian, always good to see you as well. Kevin Jones, always good to see you as well. Sam Bowen, appreciate the support always. Danica, I don't know. I don't know. I've purposely not texted or called people because I didn't want to be involved, just in case I was involved with this. But it's interesting. But then Paul comes in with his Caicedo is the best player between us and Colombia. We don't have a difference
Mm.
maker per se, but we play well as a team. I think.
But Paul, I'm very sorry, because look, for instance, look at what you just said. Kai said is the best player. I can see I can see multiple persons. Jade Rose. I can see she running down Caicedo and stopping her on the day. Riviere can do the same thing. Buchanan can do the same thing. But at the same time, if they nullify her based on your statement, what they're going to do with Rosso, what they're gonna do with Flemings, Scott, and then Idema, Leon. Leon is equally. I can promise you, Paul. Leon will. Every time I hype up Leon, Leon come and show you guys that why you guys look down on the player. What?
I don't. And I don't think, and JD, I think this is I think I'll speak for myself. I think I am so used to the standard of what Canada is that when I see something else come in, I'm like, oh, can we handle that? But then you brought up Jade Rose, which is a funny comment to bring because to me, Jade Rose is, if Jade was collecting like achievements, she has had a solid game against Sam Kerr. She's had a
Thank you.
solid game against
She
Trinity
named the run up and
Rodman.
down lady. The run up and down lady. So she
She
will
is the
run you
player to
up and
do it.
down.
And that will be the matchup to watch when they play. Like, okay, Caicedo, where are you going to be? Jade, enjoy. Give her a baguette at the end of the night too. Just like because you'll be in her pocket, give her some change too. Because like Jade Rose has shown the ability when these moments come, and I think for me, this is why I'm so used to them. And I'm so more curious and afraid of what the world is doing and how it's stepping up that sometimes I do take this team for granted. I won't deny that, JD. I see someone make a good turn. I think to myself, I don't know, JD. This might be the defining moment for a federation, but that's just me being me. But we'll see how it goes from there. I'm curious to see what they can do in that game. But again, the first game we're talking about is that New Zealand game. When we get to Group B, we have the United States, Zambia, Germany, and Australia. And we have our second conversation here, which is can an African team medal at this Olympic competition? I think they are. Emma Hayes had a very interesting comment where she said, because there was an American journalist who was asking her about the notion of is gold the goal for the U.S. and she brought up the point. I'm paraphrasing here. If I can find the quote, I will put up here. But the paraphrase is basically the world has caught up enough that if an upset happens, it's not really an upset because the world game has caught up. Now, I do agree with her that the world game has caught up to a level. I think the difference is we don't have as many, the world doesn't have as many, the world has more, say, star players, but then you need more quality players to build up your team. And I think as world teams continue to invest, they will have that. But the notion that if an upset happened at this Olympics, it wouldn't be a surprise. Look at the quality of teams. You tell me that the Germany beats the US. We've seen it happen. Tell me Australia can beat the US. We can see it happen. Tell me Brazil loses to Nigeria. We can see it happen, right? It's not an
Zambia has the
impossible
proof
feat.
to. Zambia kind of they must prove it to me still, because at this
Okay.
point it looks like all of these teams are slightly better than them. In some organization aspect.
Yeah.
And the level. Wow, oh my God, this is a good group. Because if you take any one of these three teams, they might just come over and top the next group, which is surprising, because if you put Germany over there, Germany can fight to top the next group. Just talk about United States the same and Australia the same.
No, that's fair. If you swapped any of those teams with Canada in Group
And
A,
all of them in the same group. Oh my God.
it I mean, if we're gonna keep on going back to the whole drones, it baffles my mind even more. Of all the groups to do it in, you do it in this group. But I digress.
Yeah.
I think the thing that Zambia has is that they play a style and they have the players who are great at that style of that defending. And no, they play better in the counter. Defending, I still have questions if they can hold up well. They have good enough defenders, but their wing play, Banda, Rachel, those two players, give them the ball in space. They can create one on one. They can beat a player with dribbles or with pace, and they are clinical. So if you're saying you want to play a side and you think you're only going to get maybe 2 or 3 chances, and you have those two players on the wings, if you can hold them to 1 goal, if not less, and if you can defend well enough and hope that maybe the team has an off day or a team doesn't hit the target, and then you give Rachel or Barbara Banda 1, 2, 3 chances, it's not impossible for me to say, yeah, they could beat an Australia. Yes, they could beat a Germany. Or if I'm even wild enough to say this, I can see them pulling a result from the US because they have the pace to bother those fullbacks and wingers. They have it to do it. So it's a style of play that they play, but they are good at that style. And so they'll give possession, Zambia will, to that. We've already seen Zambia beat Germany, albeit
Yeah.
it was
It was a
before the World
friendly. Yeah.
Cup. It was the
Yes.
last game for, so heavy rotation. Yes, we all know those words will be used, but we've seen the
Yes.
result.
And we have watched the game. Yes, it was because of heavy rotation. I strongly believe so. Even though they did prove that they are a challenging team, that is true.
Mhm.
But I'm telling Africans, as I've said the last competition, I know that they're looking for a young team to do something. Well, I'm very sorry, Mr. Africans. It's not going to happen. These teams is gonna beat the bricks of Zambia. I'm very sorry, people, but one of the African teams go down. I will be here to watch it, and I will be here to break down. If I'm wrong, I will tell you guys that I'm wrong. But I know that I'm not wrong. All right? Yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, who do you have in this group getting out of the group? So, you have the United States, Zambia, Germany, and Australia. Who do you have topping the group? Who do you have making it out of the group?
I am going, and this a third place team coming out of this as well.
Hmm.
So I am going with United States. They have shown us that they are getting back their levels together. We saw the transitional plays. Midfield is getting way solid. Center back pairing is looking better because that was a slight problem for them, and their
Hmm.
forward and wing areas have never really dropped off. To be honest, even if you think that the main individuals them dropped off, you still had good players. Trinity Radman and those girls, I saw them came in and they really turned the screw very, very fast. And now they got a coach, which is a top coach. You understand me? So I just think that they're going to move from strength to strength. They won majority all of the competition they entered so far. So
Hmm.
I can't beat winning and disrespect them. Germany and Pop doesn't look the strongest at this point. To be honest, I like what they dropped 2 seasons ago in the final of the Euros. I thought that they dropped off a little bit, even though they were still good in World Cup in the World Cup. Just really bad luck at the point because they should have won those games. To be honest, they were the better team. But I do believe that it's gonna cause some problems. So I'm gonna go with Germany still coming second, slightly over Australia, even though Australia can be a frustrated team to play against. And they have some very good strikers because Fowler and the superstar she's not gonna be here. So
No, Kerr won't be
so
playing now.
but Fowler will be playing. So
Yes,
that
Fowler will be there.
and Fowler is a very good um link player and also can play on the line and get in behind. And that's the style that Australia likes more than anything else. So I'm going to say that because Australia takes the third spot. Yeah, I'm very sorry, Africans, but Zambia can't get it over none of them. They're going to try their best. They're going to fight hard, but all of these teams are professional teams, and they are going to figure ways to nullify Zambia's speed and physicality. And once they do
Mm.
so, the technical side from all of these teams will be light years ahead of them.
And that's a very fair point to make. I I do agree with your point with Germany. Germany has been more inconsistent for the players that they have. I know we look at Pop and we see, okay, well, what can they do? I think the World Cup was disappointing, but I don't think they played terribly. They just had an off World Cup. Like they had the
Yeah,
World Cup where it was just like,
offside the
everything was
post,
saved or off
bad
post.
calls,
Yeah.
disallowed goals. Ah, Jesus.
Mhm.
And that header from Pop to win the game to go through offside. So I don't know. It's
You can't
just
do
one of those
much.
things. Yes, just
Yeah,
one of those
and
things.
so I don't know how much I want to give credence to a side like Germany to say they've been inconsistent. So do I trust their consistency being inconsistent? Or do I look at, say, an Australia who, yes, they don't have their best player, um, or at least their most prolific player. Some may argue that there are better players on the side. I think Sam Kerr does a lot for that team, but
Uh,
some people just think she's just a
Better
goal
players on the
merchant,
side
and
than
that's
Sam Kerr.
I like Mary Fowler a little bit better.
So,
That-
okay, all right, let me not say anything.
and that's not to say that Sam isn't a good player. I like Mary's game overall a little bit better. I think Sam is phenomenal. I like Mary's game a little bit better. That doesn't mean that she's not the best player for that. For me, if you look at Australia, the first player I'm like Fowler. That's my baller. That's where it is.
All
She's
right,
on the poster for a reason.
I'm gonna sign with you because it's Manchester City. I will get, but Sam Kerr is the best striker in the world. Period.
Oh, I'm not doubting that.
For a million years.
Mhm.
For a million years. That goal she scored against England. Good God. Not even
Oh,
men's can't score that damn thing in 2024. All right.
for those 5 minutes, JD, or those 6 minutes, Australia believed. Oh, they believed. And then belief was not found afterwards when they conceded, which was the worst feeling to have. But I think this group, I know we're going to go to Group C and think that group, give me any three teams and I can see a possibility for it. But I do feel as if this group is a little bit more open than we give it credit for. I still think the US tops the group. I
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to create a pathway just to put Zambia through, but I think Zambia can finish top 3 in this group. I do think they can. And the reason why I think they can is when we go back to the World Cup, right? And we saw the game that Australia played against Nigeria. Now, granted, Nigeria has a midfield that can dictate that. They have the strikers. Nigeria is a much more complete team to kind of have that performance that they did against Australia. But if you're asking me in two counter moments, if you're going to give the ball to Australia and then say, once we get the ball, either Rachel on the left or Barbara Banda on the right, give you the chance, can they create like Oshala can? Can they finish like an Oshala and then as get through that type of a game? I think that is more possible than not. I don't know if they can replicate the performance they had against Germany because it's a different side. Maybe best case scenario for Zambia, they lose to the US, they draw Germany, and they beat Australia, and then they take their chances with 4 points. I think that's their best outcome in that group. Is that
Okay.
likely? I don't know. There's also a possibility
Right.
where Australia looks at Zambia and says, Vegemite, 5 slices of Vegemite for you, and it's 5-2, and you're like, oh, okay. This is also the same Zambia side who 3 years ago went to the Olympics and lost 10-4 to the Dutch. Right? You can have that game, but we've seen that with solid technical sides, they can pass through it. They are better. I think Zambia's ceiling in this group is 4 points, fighting for third, maybe second. But I think their floor is also last place in the group. I'm going to go with the US finishing first. I'm going to go with Germany finishing second because we've seen Germany beat the US, though not with Emma Hayes. We've seen them do it recently. And I am going to go with my heart over my head here. And I'm going to go Zambia can get a win over Australia, maybe can push a draw against Germany, and they get 4 points, meaning Australia could be tied with 4, or they finish in last. And this is my heart versus my head. My head says it's going to be United States, Germany, Australia, Zambia, but my heart says Copper Queens. Give me another tune I can dance to. Um, and then don't break my heart after the tune comes out. So release the song after you win the game. That way we can enjoy it with vibes. We don't have vibes and then get to the World Cup and then we don't win anything. So I'm going with my heart versus my head here. And I'm going USA, Germany, Zambia, Australia.
All right, sir. All right, no problem, no problem. Let me move on, and we can drop it at the hour mark. Right at the hour mark. Because I'm
Oh.
going to be. I am not going to forget. I'm just.
JD, no one does forgets. You
Yeah,
know how many
yeah,
times?
yeah. All right, I will be back. I will
Remember
be
we
back.
made? Do you remember
You
we
know,
made a men's African men's World Cup qualifier videos, and people were coming to be like, "You don't watch. There's no way Benin or whoever it was will lose. Will beat Nigeria." And then Nigeria lost to them. I was like, "Oh,
yeah, but that is
is that
Nigeria.
so?"
That is Nigeria.
That is
You're
Nigeria.
so but just the other day, with the Gold Cup, the Gold Cup, you were here telling people, "Oh yeah, the United States." I think that they're going to lose, and I'm saying Africans. Both Canada and United States will beat the bricks of these teams. And when the bricks were beaten, I showed you that. Listen to me, stop disrespect the big teams. They are not small teams; they are big teams, and you only have some of the big teams can pop them off. United States don't naturally lose games against small teams. You have to give them credit. They don't lose against small teams. They always beat the bricks of them,
Not
and
true.
then obviously then Germany pop up and beat them, which Germany should not be beating them because they're still a first strong team, and Germany at that time ranked fourth or fifth. But because Germany has quality players, good system, they cause problems. And Netherlands can cause a problem. England, for some reason, beat United States. I can't match it out. Anyway, because that should not happen because England ain't good. You understand me? But that's just my take. You know what? People will say that I'm bad minding England, but I just know. Let me. This has nothing to do with England. They have not made it. So let me focus on the teams that made it. All right.
Yeah,
Yes.
in case anyone's watching this, JD's lost too much money on England in his life, and he holds them responsible for some sort of like midlife debt. So please, please, please be patient with him. The three lions or lionesses, it's coming home, world in motion, all the songs have just given him such trauma with his bank account that
Africans,
he sees England, he
you know
says
what?
no.
Let me just focus on the thing. So because I have too much stories for England, because
Group C, JD. Group C. I think we all
yeah,
can agree this is the group of death. This is also the group where you say, "Give me any three teams,"
no, but
and I
Africa,
will say,
just
"Okay."
yeah, yeah. But I think both of these groups are a group of death because you just hype up Zambia, which I don't think they're gonna do nothing. Um, I based off what I know, I would say this is the group of death because I give Nigeria some lit more respect than my co-host here.
JD, I
Yeah,
am
yes,
objective.
yes, you're objective, but you still have that Ghana Nigeria war at all times.
JD, this was a peaceful stream. Okay, it was a peaceful stream, and you had to bring that up. Okay, we were nothing but
But,
peace and
but
love, and now you are.
based off what we just saw, in for instance, the games them that we saw after the World Cup and during the World Cup, we can say that Nigeria have clicked a screw. They have found some pieces. We saw Kanu becoming much more refined human being because before
Mhm.
she was just a big, very physical, strong human being that no lady on planet Earth can stop unless she stop herself. But she was stopping herself a lot more often. No, she's much more refined. Ajikaye, I could say, looking good. Ashola looks like she's getting comfortable in America. We saw
Yeah.
Esther could offer more there. You have a lot more new addition. Baba GD came in as well, a new addition. Yes, so they do have a lot of players, and their core players they have continuously deliver. So it looks like with a good coach and a good system, I think they can cause some problems. I am going to watch the first game, and if I see them put on pressure on Brazil, which I think they are going to do, because I can see how Brazil gets beaten sometimes, that physicality is a world of problem if you can hold on to the ball and play it fast. And Nigeria has all of those skill sets until 100. So those skill sets are buck on Nigeria's chart. So
Yes.
I think they are in for a problem if they can't control the ball better. That is for Brazil. But if Brazil controls the ball better, they will cause Nigeria all sorts of problem.
Mm.
Yes, you will see some rocket launcher goals flying, even though you have a super world class, maybe the best keeper in the tournament is Nigeria keeper. You understand me? So she has to work. She has to turn up and work. Yes.
True. I think I will say this about Brazil because I've been thinking about them. Brazil to me is they're the Croatia of this tournament. And the men's Croatia. And the question that I have is, are we going to get the 2022 Croatia at the World Cup, or are we going to get the 2024 Croatia from the Euros? They're a team that has a lot of pedigree, a lot of good players. They are a little bit older on it, and they are a side that in some aspects have been playing good football, but also I feel as if they can either come short or they will have a deep run and we'll say this is the Brazil of old. I think I feel as if that's where they are. I think Nigeria is a team that is set up well that can match up defensively with a lot of these teams. I'm not sure how they'll look against Spain and to a lesser extent Japan, but I feel as if Brazil is their best game because Brazil stylistically will be the better type of game that they want to play, right? And whether
But
that is they want to say that
your mind. I thought your mind would have changed after you saw Japan up against the stronger European teams that don't really possess the ball but go from back to front. Sweden and those things, they
Mhm.
really struggle with size, man.
They
Japan,
do. Yeah, I do. So for Nigeria, it's a question of if when they play Japan, can they just play highway football against them? If they can do that, I think the same thing that what Sweden did to them, which was what at the World Cup, Sweden just said, "That's great, you can pass." Well, everything's a cross, everything's a high ball, and we are sending the ball
yes,
in. They
and
they
we're
have the
very
players for
tall.
that.
You know,
Yeah.
We- I know Japan. If you give them the way to play on the ball, you ain't stopping them. They
Hmm.
are very technical, very good, but also small. They are smaller than the
Hmm.
average. So the bigger teams, which is that in Nigeria, um, they can cause problem. Nigeria, Spain, even Nigeria, Germany, can cause them all sorts of problem. Those
Hmm.
teams are made to beat Japan. So based off your title, I would say Nigeria have the better chance to go through
I
than
do agree.
Zambia, based on how this sets up. I'm not saying Nigeria is going to go on to win nothing. I will have to assess that in the next round. But
Yeah.
based off those two games, Brazil and Japan, I do believe that Nigeria has the ability to get something from both of the games. Are they going to get it? I am not sure. For Spain, it doesn't matter what you have, you're not getting nothing from it. You understand? Because Spain have the ability to come and take the ball away from you
Hmm.
and start passing back the ball. I don't think Japan actually has that ability and confidence at the same time.
I agree, but that's why I think for Nigeria, against they need a result against Brazil. And like I would dare even say they need 3 points against Brazil versus just a draw. Because if they can secure the three, you're breathing. You at least know you're fighting for third worst case scenario. But for that first week, worst case scenario, you're tied for second or you're tied for first. That's where you are if you get the win against Brazil. And I think stylistically Brazil is a game that they can play that game more man up with them or player to play. Stylistically they can go, and I've seen what Carlisle has done against bigger sides. Again, I always go back to that Nigeria Canada game at the World Cup where it wasn't just that Canada missed chances, is that you could see that when they were switching from mid block to low block to pressing up high, they were getting Canada uncomfortable, and they were picking the right moments to do that. Against a team like Brazil, you assume that there's technical ability there and they'll be fine. But seeing that gives me confidence that I think if they can get a result against Brazil, it opens up the competition for them a lot more. Because again, Japan, they'd have to play that stylistically just highway. Get the ball, all the Pains, Nicole Payne, Tony Payne. I don't know if there's any other sisters you have,
Every
Sisters Payne,
pain.
bring them on. Every Pain, bring the pain. Like at this point,
Yeah,
play the
facts.
midfield, get the ball up to Kanu, get the ball up to Oshala, and then at that point, you are playing. Thank you, Umzo. And at that point, you're kind of playing. I think you can play and win that style of game, and then against Spain, it's just a matter of how well can you stay in that game. But if Nigeria's going to get out, which I think they can, they need to get a result against Brazil. I am. It's odd for me to say this out loud, but I'm not as high on Brazil with this side, with this version of Brazil before, and knowing my
Okay.
luck, because I say that, they will go on and run and win the gold, because that's what happens when I feel like something and I say it out loud. They do the opposite. But I'm not
I,
as high on Brazil here.
I thought
Um,
that, believe me, this is the group of that anyone you pick, I think you're gonna get two out of it that does well, and the next two, kind of shaky. But I am going for Spain winning it. I think Spain is gonna win
hmm.
every damn game. Yeah, so I'm gonna go for Spain. And it's surprising, I think Japan might have some shocker because Brazil can defend. Brazil can strike from range, and they do have the actual size. I think Japan got exposed in the World Cup, and I think he's going to continue to earn them, even though they are a very good technical team. So I'm going to go Nigeria clipping Japan for third spot.
So you're having
What?
Japan finish last. Okay.
Yes, yes. They are
I think
very good, you know. They are very good,
yeah.
but if they can't impose themselves on you, they can't win games. Nigeria can win a game without imposing themselves. Just sit back and defend and just counter because they're faster and stronger than you, and they have a striker
Mhm.
can put the ball in the back of net. Japan cannot do that. That cannot happen. They have to break it down, just like how Spain has to break it down. But Spain have the ability to come at you, close it down, comfortable breaking down, block every lane, and just take the ball away from you and half course press it to death. Don't think Japan will be half court pressing none of these teams because of the capability that they have. So I'm thinking that Nigeria and Japan will be fighting for third place.
I think that's fair, and I think that's kind of where I
No,
have it too.
Omar falling a war with me, but Omar, I am saying it's third and fourth I'm looking at, and I have Japan and Nigeria fighting for third and fourth. And
Hmm.
I think that the game between Japan and Nigeria will pull off a European style on them because I think Nigeria will beat that team.
I mean, it is a fair point that you come back with. That Nigeria is a
Omar,
side that will have a lot of chance, that will miss a lot of chances, but I think they have the finisher. Nigeria is a side that, if you play, for me at least, if you play Japan, you go there. You have, I think Brazil will be the bottom. I I tend to go. That's kind of where I will defer with you, JD. I think I still have Spain topping the group, but then
yeah, I
I
think
would
everybody
have.
has that.
I think there's too
I think
much.
before everybody has been
I,
winning the group. It's just the next two personnels, you know.
I've been saying my L's properly for them. Salapaleo, yes. Alexa Puteas, all the L's. Let me say my L's right. But I think Spain is there. I have Japan finishing tied with Nigeria
A
for
second,
with for second. So it's a like Spain
and
gets
Brazil come
9,
last.
and then Brazil comes in fourth.
Omar said, "Betty and Nigeria comes last." Omar, have you listened to what I've just said? You don't listen to what I've just said, you know. I just said I think Brazil will come in second because Brazil come in second. It's going to be a fight between Nigeria and Japan, and I want to say that I saw that Japan have physicality issues, so that's where I'm going. It's a third and fourth. Someone can come third and fourth. All right, good God, the belief this man has in Nigeria is insanity. Also, it's third and fourth. Someone has to come third and fourth. All right, come on.
Well,
That's
then
all.
Umzo, then if you guys disagree, give us your predictions and tell us who
Yes,
you
so
have
let me
topping
take
the
a
group
picture.
there.
Let me take a picture because the other day I'm walking around collecting trophies, So I'm gonna take a picture. All right, a picture. One Omzo and the one Omar Fowling. All right,
That they
Omzo
are.
and
That they
Omar
are.
Fowling. Yes. Hmm.
But NG Sport, I assume, is Nigeria Sport. They have Spain topping the group, Nigeria second, Japan third, and then they have Brazil at the bottom. I don't know. It wouldn't be inconceivable to see Nigeria go to second. I think it's more likely they get a third place spot with enough points to go
That's
through,
what I
and
thought.
then they become
Yeah.
yes, and then it goes from there. So Omar, you and JD can square off that. These groups
Yes,
are
me and him
crazy.
will
I
have
do
to
agree.
square it up because I just tried to fight between the third and fourth, and this man want to bet me and all sorts of thing. I don't disagree, but this man always says the same about Nigeria. They will win. No, you're a liar. The problem is you just never listen to me when I'm doing Nigeria because almost all of the games, I've called with ladies, I've got them correct. Almost
Hmm.
all of the Nigerian games. This is just the man name let me down. But this is not the man. I just talked about the man. And I said that I'm not gonna bet on them. But I'm saying I've stated one thing that I saw with Japan. I saw them in 3 to 4 games against similar opposition and they tend to struggle. All right. If he say it's going to rain every day, eventually I will you know what? Africans, finish up the
I'm
thing.
sorry.
Let me
I'm
go to
sorry.
sleep. Yes.
It's kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's. I'm not saying you do that, JD, but once you said, I was like, it. I mean, I know people who do that. I do know people who do that. Um, let's go through some here because everybody's starting to pull up now, so that's fine. Does the women football use U23? No, the women's football is
No,
still
unlimited. I'm
it's
unlimited. You do
still
whatever you
national
want.
team. Which I had a conversation with AC Lang who covers Canadian soccer. There's a video short there. I think 2 more Olympics before they go to U23 and
No
use the
man, this
same
is it's
style as.
okay. Full the team with professional players, and it will keep the game floating and put it at a respectable level and get it out there. The football you don't want no U23. Yeah, you go to the
I
World Cup
would,
and do all of those stuffs.
but here's my counter to that. I think women are breaking into the game at a much younger age. That
Yes,
even if you did call it a U23, I mean, let's look at Spain's team. How many of their Spain's team just came from the U20s or could be coming from the U20s
but
and
they,
still be
they can't
playing
get
well?
no game. They can't get no game in a national team. They still come in. Only Salma alone can make the national team. They ain't getting any game. Everybody
Mhm.
else still there. So I'm just saying some teams, the smaller girls, them can't make the step up as yet. It's just because their other teams are poor. That's why, to be honest. So, but
Mm.
I get you. All right.
Yes. Before I say my famous words of the max congestion and too many max fixture congestions, I think at the end of the day, I think it would be good. I don't think it would be bad for the Olympics go to U23 because it could at least give the national team players a break so they don't have to do it. Or maybe you give 3 of them the opportunity, similar to how the men, you have Hakimi playing for Morocco at the Olympics, whereas he could be in camp with PSG. But I think it would be a good showcase moment for that. And plus, now you can take some of your U20s, you
Yeah,
can
Vicky is in it.
U23s.
Yeah,
Yes.
Vicky is
And
just
I
for
think
selling tickets.
yeah, I think that could work better, especially to grow the game, because at that point, you could actually bring in and you can introduce the world to some of the younger players versus reminding people, oh, there are players here. And I think if you went to a U23 type level with maybe not three adults, but like 3 older senior players. I mean, look at how, say, like Nigeria's women's team do at U20s. I think that can translate a little bit better for them at a U23 level than, say, at the national team level, where they are still a good side, but I think they can stylistically play better because their players are still there's just closer of a gap. There's not as big of a gap, I think, in that sense. So I think it wouldn't be a bad idea, and I would be curious to see kind of how it plays out from there. So I'm not against U23s. I think it's a good I think it's a good thing for the game, because then you can get those young professionals / those players who are just breaking in, and you can give them their showcase, similar to what the U20s and the U17s do for the men's side, and what it has done for the women's side as well, giving those players that showcase aspect to kind of move through and see. But I think U23 is coming probably in the next, not 2030 or not 2032, but I think maybe 2036. We could have that conversation and say U23s could go from there. So we go from there.
We're about we're just doing 1 hour today, and tomorrow we're gonna drop a short, and then I don't know what Africans has plans, but I'm gonna when we want to finish 1 hour, we're gonna watch the other games. And tomorrow I will try to put everything together. A lot of football, a lot of chaos. I can't bother. It was what's the name of the guy Africans? It was all his fault. That
It's Cat
boy.
Williams. I blame Cat
Scott
Williams.
Williams' fault. It's a Scott Williams. Too much games, too much drama, too much chaos, But I'm going to watch the United States. I want the United States to beat France, but it's not going to happen. And Tactical will be losing his screw, and the coach needs to get fired.
That coach was fired, so we're good. We can go from there, but I think it'll be interesting to see. Okay, I'm not going any predictions, but the Japan team seems unpredictable. If that game is if Nigeria can hold on to the ball and go direct, they have the midfield that can pass through and they can go. But I think at the end of the day, if they can play bully, highway, direct football, they have a better chance of winning.
I agree.
And that's just the reality.
And just defend, drop your blocks, them, get your big, strong players them up, cause problems.
Play well in the half spaces, because I've seen.
And Deborah is something special in the man. That young kid added to the squad. So maybe you're right. Maybe we need to, but now limited to U23s and just forcing Vicky Lopez and two of them tiny human beings to come and be playing. No. I want it to stay full professional, so we can, because ladies football is not. I'm telling you, sometimes I actually enjoy ladies football more than men's football. Just watch tomorrow. Just watch tomorrow. Believe me.
I want to watch tomorrow. I don't know if it'll count, but I'm going to watch tomorrow.
Omar Fowling and Mr. Umzo, you two people, I am telling you, just watch tomorrow. All right?
I do. Yes, Vicky Lopez is in the reserve squad. So, yes, she could see herself come through. That's a new thing. Reserve squads, if you drop someone from your 18 and they bring someone to reserve, if they become healthy, you can bring them back in. So you do have a little bit more flexibility with your. You are playing with 22 players versus really 18, which is a nice change. Men's U20 developments, where players left out of the Jamaica. Could that have helped? This is getting to a U20 conversation. The simple thing that I will say is this. For you, general scouting in general, Jordan, here's my thing. How many players from the last U20 teams for Canada have made their roster? Because the reality is the U20 player that made the Canadian roster for the men's side is Ishmael Kone, and he never played youth. He played one season Ligue 1 Quebec. He played one season at CF Montreal, then he was gone. Look at that U20 side that went and played. Who there is, I mean, the Justin Smiths, the Kwesi Poku, who was a fullback 1 minute, a left mid now. Now he's a striker and he's scoring goals. I love him. Good name that is, Kwesi Poku.
All I know, the CONCACAF is getting very tougher and tougher for Jamaica. That's all I do know. Canada looks like they have a whole rounded core things. You guys said you don't have fields. I guess you guys have coaches. Because one thing I know, I saw football playing. Yesterday, football, Dominic, damn rep. Seems like they are going to buy some footballers, and damn rep might be good like Spain soon. Because damn rep was pushing Canada. That boy named Bello, Africans, I told you that Bello is a baller, man. He's going to make your name, your national team, He's going to make it. Just watch. Just watch.
See, I came to a realization with him because this is just going to be everything. So Olympics and U20 talk real quick.
We are done, but I guess I had to talk about that player. I was watching him.
No, that's fine. I realized watching him yesterday. There's a part of me where I feel like he is such a CDM, but at the same time, where I had sympathy for him was just that sometimes the decision making from the center backs or the fullbacks to him was so delayed that by the time that he was going to get the ball, the pass was too late. Like he's moving, and you can see that. And he's a young player, so when he gets discouraged, you see that. But like you see it.
No, can't continue. I forgot this brother.
I heard him. I'm trying to work. I'm trying to
He
have a
doesn't
conversation in
listen. He
peace.
doesn't listen. He doesn't listen well, that boy named Umza, because obviously Spain is in Europe and they are in CONCACAF. It takes a lot less to be like Spain.
Mm-hmm.
Good God, man. You don't see Suriname coming over here pinging ball against Mexico. The level is not that high. And that's the biggest team. Come on, Africans, go ahead. Sorry about that. Stop.
No, but
I'm not
I
holding
think
you.
with some youth players, your spine has to be solid. And I think, not to say that their defense wasn't good, but I think moving the ball and being too patient or too cautious, sometimes you take away from the ability. And if you want to play swashbuckling football, sometimes that makes you look great, or sometimes that makes you look bad. But they've employed a more patient process with how they want to play. I don't necessarily think it fits the talent that they have, but they're getting the results. So I'm not really mad about it. But I had a moment of sympathy for Biello where I was thinking there are times he's calling for the ball and then the pass isn't coming. And then there's other times where he gets the ball and he could easily turn and push because he has options, but then he'll reset and go back. And those are the moments where I look at myself and I say, where's the options? What's happening here? But I mean, we did say Santi Lopez was a player to look at, and Santi's been everything we thought he was going to be and more. So I'm happy to see that for him. Let's go through these comments because apparently 1 hour
Yep.
is a concept, and
Yes.
we'll add
And
enough.
I only had the hour, I only had the hour because I wanted to just leave Umza alone, and I wanted to catch other games. But Umza is just a terrorizer. But yeah, you think Africans, they think.
We'll do our thing. Danica wants the USA to lose. She wants Barbara Bandit to drop a hat trick on the US. She's dropped hat tricks before. She dropped 4 against the Dutch. The Dutch unfortunately dropped 10. So I'll take Barbara getting 3 again, 4 again. I think the US can. The thing with the US is this: when they finally commit to that Jaden Shaw, Sophia Smith, Trinity Rodman attacking trio, uh, um, what do we do, JD? What do you do with that space and that ability to finish? How do you stop that? I don't know. And I think once they figure that out with a solid CDM within their 4-3-3 or their 4-4-2 or however they want to play it, they're going to be a problem, which is why I've always said I think this Olympics is the last time and we'll have a window where the US has been beatable, which kind of goes back to the whole Canada conversation because I saw people with the scandal happening, people were saying, hey, should Priestman be let go just because of that, because her results haven't been good recently? And my response to it's interesting because I think, well, she's made the semis of the Gold Cup, only lost that game, I think. Well, we didn't get to see a real game because they're still slipping and sliding on the pitch. She plays She Believes Cup again. She loses the US in penalties twice in the last year. Before that, she played a few games, and then other than that, it's just been friendlies and then getting the team ready. They qualified for the Olympics and whatnot. I think there's an argument that can be made that says you had the US at their most beatable state, quote unquote, and you didn't play them defensively, but you played them up and you played an up and down game with them, but you weren't able to get a result. You drew them twice. That is a good result. You just lost them in penalties twice. At the same time, if you want to say you won the gold medal, so you should be winning these other competitions, I can hear you on that as well. I just don't know what the right answer for Bev is. My problems with Bev aren't really her results on the pitch. It's more so her roster decisions because I feel that she is committed. Some teams, some coaches have their core 5 or 6 player. Bev, it feels as if she has her core 22. And for a player to break in, you need 3 injuries and a possibility that someone is suspended before she tries something new. And Herdman was the same. But as bad as my biggest issue with Bev has been mainly the roster selection, not necessarily her results, because she's gotten results. She's drawn and played well against emerging competition. Her teams haven't looked bad against top competition. They've just played well. In this tournament, there's no hiding. There's only 12 teams versus, even when we said in the World Cup, you're at the top 32 teams. There's no hiding. No one got blown up at that World Cup, but then defensive teams really showed them to be problematic. And I think there's a bit of a transition that Canada has to go through, where they go from being a team that is just a team that is an underdog that can be scrapping and defend their way, versus a team that others look at it and say are a dominant side, and they have to now take the offense to that team. I think that's where Canada has struggled. If they have to play the low block, they're fine. When they have to beat a low block, that's where they struggle. And I think they have players
Yeah.
who can do it, but stylistically, they just haven't been able to do that. So it's a very interesting conversation, and it's a very interesting frame to look at how Canada has played since they won the gold versus and their results, because really they've not had a, you can keep on saying the excuses of, well, when they played She Believes Cup, there was the payment issue, and there was the issues with the federation, and then when they played France, there was also the issues with the federation, and then they've had issues with the federation since they won the gold medal. But if you look at how they've performed against top teams, I don't think they've had a bad result. Because even if you look at the US games, they drew them and then lost in penalties. I don't think that's necessarily bad. But what's your perspective on Canada, and how they've had since they've won the gold medal, including the World Cup? Because the World Cup, I think we can all agree, was a bit of a disappointment. Because we expected at least the round of 16, and do something, but they got grouped. But we said it was a possibility. How do you find Canada post winning the gold medal?
You have said it all. I do really, and I am much more lenient on the coach and the overall system, because I've said that having about Ireland, Australia, and Nigeria in a group, yeah, you should be qualifying. That's true, but we all saw that Nigeria had a special bunch of players coming through, and they did cause problems against you. And then once you got that thing going against you, it's going to be tough. But after that, they bounced back. I thought they did well in all of the other competitions, and they qualified for the Olympic to try and fight for their title. And that's about it. I don't think you deserve to lose your job. She found a different style of play that I think is much more fluid. Got Iderman, and a lot got rejuvenated in that system. You understand me? So I think it's where something there to work on and work with, to be honest. And that's what I have to say. I like the Canadian team. I think that they can cause problems, yeah, they can cause problems for sure.
No, I think they can cause problems for sure. Based off of who you have winning your groups and coming out of your groups, I'm assuming you have Spain winning this, but who are your top four you think at who will come and be playing for the semis? Give me your four teams that will be playing in the semis and having a chance to come away with a medal. I'm assuming Spain is one of them. So
Spain,
who are the
United States, Spain,
Mhm.
United States. I have here Spain, United States. I have right here, and if Canada gets all of their stuff them right, so Spain, United States, France, and then the one team, it's between Germany and Canada as the second place teams, to make the fourth spot. So those are my guys. I actually have Germany and Canada above Brazil. But the natural
Okay.
one, but I've not gotten a fourth. I'm gonna put Germany and Canada if Canada can keep their coaches, and that's me right there.
hmm
Hmm.
So because I'm just looking at how the matchup set up, group winner of Group A plays the third place of Group B or C. So in theory, France could play either Nigeria or Zambia based off how we had predicted the groups to go. Or that could be Canada versus Zambia or Nigeria, which in that case that could be terrible for Canada or great for Canada. I think Spain is definitely one of them we have going through. I think yeah, we're gonna do it. I'm gonna go Spain. I think Canada plays for bronze regardless. I think so. It's Spain, US, Canada, and I'm going for it. I'm going Nigeria.
Okay.
I am going Nigeria makes the semis. I think it's not inconceivable to say if they make it out of the group, they just have one game to win, and then they're playing in the semifinals with a chance to come home with hardware, either gold, silver, or maybe a bronze. I think that is more than possible. If I had to swap out, say, one of those teams for another team, I would look at, say, Canada, and then I would look specifically for. I think we're gonna get a better version of if not Canada, I think we get a better version of Germany, and we go US, Germany, Nigeria, and Spain. Those would be my top four, who I think make the semis. I don't know if the pathway works out for it, but that's where I'm going.
Well, I will just go with the players. We go with the teams at this point. That's what
Yes.
we will work on it. I will work on it once I get more time. By tomorrow, I have everything kind of set up. That's why, yeah.
Indeed,
I'm gonna work
indeed.
on it. I'm gonna work
Yes.
on it 100%.
So, guys, competition starts tomorrow. I'll actually give that to you right here. Well, the women's competition starts tomorrow. The men started today. Yeah, the men's. The way that the men are playing, there'll be a game that starts today that finishes on Friday because it'll be suspended and then they'll come back. But tomorrow we have 6 games going on tomorrow. We have Canada, New Zealand starts it off, and then Spain and Japan. Then you have Brazil, Nigeria, Germany, Australia, then USA, Zambia, then France, Colombia. Those are the 3 games for tomorrow. And I am very much curious to see that game, that Brazil Nigeria game for me. I think is the game I'll be watching because if Nigeria is going to get out of this group, I think they need 3 to get out just so they can be safe. A 1 would be good, a draw would be good, but I think they need 3 points to really feel confident moving forward out of that. Germany, Australia could be a fun matchup because I think both good sides. I think Australia would rather sit back and try to make Germany beat them, which I think Germany can do. Pop will just get a lot of shots in terms of just aerial balls and bully ball there. So I'm really curious to see how she plays there. But those 2 games, unfortunately, playing at the same time. I'll watch the Canada game, but as we know, we don't know what's going to happen with Canada. So we will wrap it up there, guys. If you're watching this later, throw down your predictions. Who are your group winners? Who do you have making the semis? This has been the question for the Africans. This has been JD. I do realize that as a Canadian, every time Canada loses, someone's going to try to play. I'm going to see the words "not like us" in tweet form for the rest of the year, and people will offer to buy me drones now. I am not emotionally ready for that, but if you must do it. But until then, enjoy these Olympics. It'll be great. More football. There's a lot more football happening as well. Don't forget the women's U20s are coming in the fall as well. And that will be something we'll be keeping an eye on as well as the men qualifiers in CONCACAF. We've been following that a bit. Be sure to be following JD for all this content that he has going for that. And guys, until next time, this has been us saying thank you and bye-bye for now.